أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال رب إني لا أملك إلا نفسي وأخي فافرق بيننا وبين القوم الفاسقين قال فإنها محرمة عليهم 40 سنة يتيهون في الأرض فلا تأس على القوم الفاسقين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Last week we started from ayah number 19 and we finished with ayah number 24. The concepts that we covered was that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent a prophet after a long period without prophets sent to earth, so that humanity would not say that we did not receive a warner and a person that would give glad tidings. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala turned to a story of Bani Israel, and the summary of it is that they were told to go and fight and they refused. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made two of them stand up and try and encourage their people, but they still refused. And now we will go to the last two ayat of the story where Musa alayhi salam responds to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and makes a dua against his people because of what they did, meaning that they were promised a land, all they had to do was fight, and they refused to fight. Hamza, go back a bit please. So he says, قال ربي إني لا أملك إلا نفسي وأخي. Musa alayhi salam said, Rabbi, O my Rabb, I do not have ownership of anything except myself and my brother. I think we partially may have done this last week. Yeah. And so the points that we made here was that there were more people who were willing to fight other than Musa and just his brother Harun alayhi salam. However, Musa alayhi salam summarized the people that were with him as being the representatives of those people. Okay? In that it was him and his brother as being the representatives of those who are willing to fight. فَفُرُقْ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَ الْقَوْمِ الْفَاسِقِينَ. So separate between us and those, the al-qawm al-fasiqeen. The fisq, I gave you the definition, should be in your notebooks from a long time ago. The fisq, the definition of that is the person who does sin with knowledge. Right? So what knowledge did Bani Israel have? The knowledge that they have a prophet amongst them, and the prophet is giving them a promise from Allah that you will be victorious. All you have to do is fight. Despite these two very heavy logical things in their favor, they decide not to fight. Okay? So they become from the fasiqeen. So a person who gains knowledge about the Quran and the Sunnah, and then after gaining that knowledge and understanding how severe is the punishment of something, he still goes on to do the sin, then he does what? Fisq. As opposed to fujur. Fujur is something that is sinful but not necessarily done on purpose after knowledge. So fisq is of a greater level of sin. And you will find that the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in particular, uses the word fasiqeen for the Yahud. Okay? Over and over again, it will be used for their category and their type of people. And verily they were a people that were given much ni'mah and knowledge by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they chose to disobey Him. فَفُرُقُ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَ الْقَوْمِ الْفَاسِقِينَ. Allah mentions in Surah Al-Saf, actually not in Surah Al-Saf, Surah Al-Ahzab, Allah mentions يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ آذَوْا مُوسَى. O you who believe, do not be like those who gave adha, who gave much harm to Musa alayhi salam. Okay? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah As-Saff, وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِقَوْمِهِ يَا قَوْمِ لِمَ تُؤْذُونَنِي. Then Musa said to his people, O my people, why do you harm me? What was the harm that they were giving him? There was two things they did. One was that they disobeyed him on his face. Okay, in front of him, they disobeyed him. And the second was that they made fun of him, as we have mentioned in the stories previously. This is something really severe, that you can imagine that there is a prophet and he is making dua against his own people. O Allah, separate me from my people. We find that Musa alayhi salam makes a dua against Fir'aun, that, O Allah, make sure he doesn't get hidayah and that he is destroyed. But remember that this dua is made, some of the Mufassirin say, after 40 years of him doing da'wah to Fir'aun. He does da'wah to Fir'aun for a long time. Then he says, Oh Allah, punish him. He gets the permission to make that dua. A principle I have taught you already. A Nabi cannot make dua against his own people. Okay? Only when Allah gives him the permission, he then makes a dua against his people so that his people are destroyed. Here now Musa alayhi salam, after trying his best to get his people to listen to him, has said that, Oh Allah, separate me and from my people. This is a significant dua. Also look at the importance of jihad in the religion. Not just in Islam that we have from Ummah Muhammad, but in the religion, which is the same religion that we have of Musa alayhi salam, that when his people refused jihad, that was, as the English saying goes, the needle that broke the camel's back. The last straw. After this, nothing can be bigger. And this shows the importance of jihad. قَالَ فَإِنَّهَا مُحَرَّمَةٌ عَلَيْهِمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, now here the qala is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَإِنَّهَا. What does this ha return to? It returns to al-ard al-muqaddasa. Right? Al-ard in the Arabic language is feminine. Right? So فَإِنَّهَا is returning to that earth. مُحَرَّمَةٌ عَلَيْهِمْ. It is now haram on them. Notice here, and Al-Qurtubi discusses this, that Allah originally says, كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. Allah has promised it for you. And Allah cannot lie. And He cannot change His mind. Okay? So when He says مُحَرَّمَةٌ عَلَيْهِمْ, the Mufassirun have said that it was promised for them and they eventually got it. But that generation of Bani Israel that disobeyed Musa, it was made haram for that generation. Okay? So some of the Mufassirun discuss that they then stayed in the Mount Sinai for 40 years until all those people that had refused died. Then their children came and they fought with Yusha bin Nun and they conquered the Earth al-Muqaddasa. So it was only made haram for the ones that actually refused. Muharramatun alayhim arba'ina sana. Now notice here that all of your mushafs will show that there's 3 dots after alayhim, right? And then arba'ina sana has another 3 dots. In the rules of tajweed, you will learn that you can either stop in the first place of 3 dots, or you can stop at the second place. You cannot stop at both places. Okay? And the beauty of this is that if you stop here is one meaning, and if you stop here is a second meaning. Okay? So just notice here, if I read to you, muharramatun alayhim, this is mutlaq, it is haram on them. Okay? So the Mufassirun say that based on this one stop, all of those people that refused did not get al-ard al-muqaddasa. And if we say muharramatun alayhim arba'ina sana, it is haram on them for 40 years. So some group of the Mufassirin say no, not all of them died. Some of them did survive and they fought with Yusha bin Nun, and it was only haram on them for 40 years. Now if you read it the first recitation, you will say arba'ina sanatin yatihuna fil ard. For 40 years they will be stuck in the earth. Okay, and as is reported that Bani Israel were in Mount Sinai and they could not get out of it for 40 years. Some of the reports mention that they would get up in the morning and they would travel to try and get out of the Mount Sinai, and they would by the evening in camp, and when they would get up the next day, it was as if they had made no progress. Others have said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changed the geography such that they just kept going around in circles. Every time they tried to get out, they could not. And so this is from the mu'jizat of Musa alayhi salam. Others have said that no, they just stayed there. They did not actually try and leave. It was made muharrama, that Ard al-Muqaddasa was made muharrama, and they did not actually leave Mount Sinai. And we will see that Allah mentions in Surah Al-Baqarah, what does Musa alayhi salam say to them when they said, قالوا يا موسى لن نصبر على طعام واحد فادع لنا ربك يخرج لنا من بقلها وقثائها وفومها وعدسها وبصلها قال أتستبدل الذي هو أدنى بالذي هو خير قال اهبطوا مصرا. Go to Misr. Musa alayhi salam said, go to the Misr. If you want to these things, go to the Misr and get these things. However, they stay in Mount Sinai. فَلَا تَأْسَ عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الْفَاسِقِينَ. Do not be saddened, do not have huzn because of the people who do fisq. Any questions about the story of Bani Israel? We can move forward inshallah too. Yes, you have a question?
Last lecture, you mentioned about the Nasara, which is 40 years something, I remember. And then the Yahudi is the same again, 40 years, given the permission.
What did I say about the Nasara? Because the story we did, we have been doing from last week, is about the Yahud. Okay? Now, always remember that when I mentioned the Yahud, they were at that time Muslims. Okay? This is something very clear to get in your brain, that at that time, Bani Israel, at the time of Musa alayhi salam, are Muslims. They got the label of Yahud because they will say, we'll come to A'raf, inna hudna ilayk. Right? We have done tawbah towards you, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they were called the Yahud because of this terminology. Okay? And the Nasara were Muslims at the time of Isa alayhi salam. And they are called Nasara because, what did they say? Nahnu Ansarullah. Right? So they got called that because of how they called themselves. But at the time of their respective prophets, they are Muslims. When their Aqidah left the Aqidah of Islam, then we consider them non-Muslims as Yahud and Nasara. And this is why they are given a special status in Islam. I don't recall mentioning 40 about the Nasara. It may have been a slip of the tongue. It was about the Yahud. Okay? This entire story from ayah number 20 is about the Yahud at the time of Musa alayhi salam.
So Musa alayhi salam passed away before the 40 years.
Okay, yeah, that was a question you guys asked last week. The Mufassirun say both things. One of the sayings is that he died fairly soon after this dua. When he asked for the tafriq, to be separated from his people, he died fairly soon after that. And Musa alayhi salam died before him. Okay? And another is that he went out with Yusha bin Nun and conquered the Ard al-Muqaddasa, the Jerusalem and the area of Sham around it. Both are there. And wallahu a'lam bisawab, what is true. Someone asked me about his place of burial last week, and the Mufassirun say that his place of burial is not known to this day. Okay? And I looked up what the Yahud and the Nasara say about this. In one of the books of the Old Testament, which is called Deuteronomy, it mentions a verse in there that his place of burial is not known to this day. However, there is a landmark within what is present-day Israel where they have a tomb saying this is the tomb of Moses. So, wallahu a'lam, our statement is that we don't really know where he is buried. And perhaps this is from the hikmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that his grave would not be worshipped by the people. وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ ابْنَيْ آدَمَ بِالْحَقِّ. I'll give you the brief summary of the story and then we'll go into the words themselves. There were two sons of Adam alayhi salam, and as you're aware, Adam alayhi salam, when he came to the earth, Hawa would have two children in the morning and two children in the evening. Okay? In the morning he would have a girl and a boy, and in the evening he would have a girl and a boy. So two twins in the morning, twins in the evening. Of course, now a pregnancy takes 9 months, but Hawa alayhi salam would have children at a much faster rate than what humans have currently. And it's mentioned that Adam alayhi salam did not die until he had 40,000 children. So he had a large number of children, and then they spread across the earth, and then generations came after them. And we know that Adam alayhi salam himself was created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after Jibreel took from the 7 parts of the earth. So different colored dirts were taken, and Adam alayhi salam was made from that. So he is, you can consider, one big massive gene pool, and all the children come from that and then spread the gene pool throughout the earth. So how did that's the first generation, is the children of Adam. How did the second generation come to be? Well, that the son from the morning would marry the girl from the evening. The girl from the morning would marry the son from the evening, right? So that in this way, every son of Adam married a daughter of Adam, and then they had their families thereafter. And obviously, in Islam and all the adyan, the marrying of siblings is qat'an haram. However, there is no other option for the direct sons and daughters of Adam alayhi salam. The son and the daughter of the morning cannot marry each other because they came out at the same time. Okay? Qabil's sister was very beautiful. Okay? Habil's sister was not that beautiful. Qabil had to marry Habil's sister, and Habil had to marry Qabil's sister. So Habil was going to get the beautiful one, and Qabil was going to get the not so beautiful one. And Qabil said, this is not on. Okay? And so Adam alayhi salam said to them, okay, go and give a qurban, give a sacrifice. And Qabil was a farmer, and he came with some wheat and some things that were of inferior quality from his farm. So he found the bad things from his farm, and then he came with that as a qurban for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Habil was a farmer. So in some texts it's mentioned that he got the best of his sheep, and in Baydawi mentions that he got a camel. Wallahu a'lam bisawab what animal he got, but he got the best of his animals, and he presented this as a qurban to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in that time a fire would come from the heavens and accept the qurban of the person who was giving the qurban. If no fire came, then it meant that the qurban was not accepted. So the qurban of Habil was clearly the best of his wealth and more, valuable as well. That was accepted. And Qabil gave something inferior, and his niyyah was not correct. So his qurban was not accepted. Qabil became jealous that Habil had his qurban accepted, and that he had won the argument, and that he would marry his beautiful sister, that he wanted to marry himself, which is again not allowed. And because of this jealousy, he desired to kill Habil. And we'll come to the ayah of how Habil reacts to this, but the end result is that Qabil kills Habil. Okay? Then after this, the reports differ on what Qabil did, and perhaps the one that's commonly narrated, is that he carried Habil on his back, perhaps for a year, or perhaps for such a period of time as the body decomposed and it started to rot and smell. And he did not know what to do with it. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down 2 crows, and one crow killed its brother crow. Then it dug the earth with its beak and its claws, and it placed its brother crow onto the earth and covered it. Okay. Then Qabil saw what the crow is doing, and so he dug up the earth and he put Habil in there. He then ran away, and perhaps he ran away to Bilad al-Hind. We don't actually know where this happened for sure, because the reports are not there in the ahadith. And Adam alayhi salam, as soon as Habil was killed, the earth changed, such that the oceans became salty, and the birds that used to come and sit and stay near Adam alayhi salam, they flew away into the skies, and other things like this that are normal for us but were not normal for their time. And so he said that something great has happened on the earth. And so he suspected something that Qabil has done, so he searched him out, and he found him. And after that, Adam alayhi salam became very sorrowful, and he did not laugh for the next 100 years. And he lived another 130 years after this incident. And because of Habil's death, there was now an imbalance on the earth, right? There was always one boy and one girl. So then Hawa alayhi salam had Shayth alayhi salam, who was said to also be a prophet, and he was then born as a single child. Okay? And so the narration goes that he was there in place of Habil. Okay? This is the entirety of the story. And obviously, tafsir is not there just to learn stories. These are stories we tell our children when they are in kindergarten. You have all heard this story, inshallah. The idea of all of this is to learn the ibrah and what is there for us to be aware of. So let's look at the wording and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala presents this. وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ بَنَيْ آدَمَ. Before I go any further, Hasan al-Basri has mentioned that perhaps these were 2 adults from Bani Israel. Okay? However, the problem with his interpretation is that we know that one of the sons of Adam, right? Now, you and I are sons of Adam as well, right? So anyone can technically be the sons of Adam. But we know that this story is narrated in the Torah and the Injil as well. So it is probably this story. Then he did not know how to bury his brother. And we know that everyone after Qabil knows how to bury someone. But they did not know, because Habil was the very first person to die on earth. Okay? So probably Hasan al-Basri's story does not fit in this particular verses here. وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ بَنَيْ آدَمَ بِالْحَقِّ. This بِالْحَقِّ is very interesting. It can mean that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that the story of the sons of Adam is true. That's one meaning. The second meaning is that the story that we are portraying to you is true, and what is mentioned in the Bible and therefore those things have had details corrupted. Okay? So Allah is saying this is the true story. The third meaning is that this bil-haqqi is that the story we are giving you is the same story that is written in al-Lawh al-Mahfuz. Do you remember the Lawh al-Mahfuz? What is that? Muhammad?
The tablets?
What is al-Lawh al-Mahfuz?
Where all the books were.
You remember how when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first thing He created was He created the qalam. And then He told the qalam to write, right? And the qalam said, what should I write? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, write everything that will happen. And so the qalam wrote in al-lawhil mahfuz the books that will come to us, the Quran, the Torah, the Injil. So Allah is narrating to you the same story that is written in al-lawhil mahfuz. The last meaning is the most important meaning, which is bil haqqi, means that we give you this story so that you learn maw'idha, you learn the ibrah, you learn from this story what should be learned. It's not a, children's rhyme book or something that you read to them so they can go to sleep at night. This is a story that requires someone to ponder and think and pay attention. إِذْ قَرَّبَا قُرْبَانًا. Allah does not tell any story of what happens before this. Okay, why are they giving a qurban? But that they are giving a qurban. قَرَّبَا, in the dual form, they brought close. Okay, meaning that they presented a qurban. Okay, now qurban, the Urdu speakers are very familiar with that. Qurban is something that you slaughter, right? It's called a qurbani, right? And it comes from this word because qurban is something that a person gives up, trying to seek nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So if I give up money, that is qurban. If I give an animal for slaughtering, it is also qurban. So before I go any further, the udhiyah is always a qurban, and it is from thamaniyata azwaj. You can only give it from the 8 pairs of animals, right? So you can give a camel, you can give a cow, you can give a goat, you can give a sheep. You cannot give a chicken, okay? And animals that are like that, like a deer or something like that, you can give those for a qurban as well. For example, in South America, they have a llama, and the llama is very similar to a sheep. So we say that yes, a llama can be given for the udhiyah as well. If someone comes across and says, Allah only wants a qurban, so let me give $150 to the poor person, and this is my udhiyah. And the answer is that this is not accepted, because Allah wants in this position an udhiyah. Okay? Then the people got confused. So what you find, at least I find in Pakistan, I don't know about India, is that whenever someone finds some difficulty in his life, or he gets sick or something, he will go and slaughter a sheep or a goat. Okay? In reality, what is required is sadaqah, giving in charity. Okay? So when you're wanting to give in charity, the better thing for the poor person, when you give him meat, he ate it, right? He can buy more wheat and vegetables from the same number of dollars than he can. So let's you gave him $15, he will go and get a 10-kilogram bag of wheat, and he can eat many days. You gave him $15 of meat, that's finished in one day. Do you understand that? So for the poor person, giving sadaqah is a better act, or actually giving him directly the food, rather than trying to slaughter a sheep, because in terms of the benefit is lower. Where the opposite is true for udhiyah. Okay? Because the udhiyah, we are required to follow the sunnah by actually slaughtering the animal. قَرَّبَ قُرْبَانًا فَتُقُبِّلَ مِنْ أَحَدِهِمَا. One got accepted, وَلَمْ يُتَقَبَّلْ مِنَ الْآخَرِ, and it did not get accepted from the other. Understand that in the past, a sign would come that something has been accepted, and this continued even until Bani Israel. As an example, when Yusha bin Nun went to fight, that they were not allowed to take from the war booty. Okay? And so they fought, they gathered the war booty and they put it there, expecting that a fire would come from the sky and take it or burn it. But it didn't come. So the Prophet said that someone has stolen from the war booty. Okay? So he said, called all the leaders and said, shake my hand. So one of them shook his hand and the hand got stuck. He said that someone from your tribe has stolen. There are 12 tribes, right? Someone from your tribe has stolen. So he said, get all the men, get them to shake my hand. So 2 or 3 people, their hand got stuck with the hand of the Prophet, and then they found that someone had stolen the size of a cow's head worth of gold. Okay, like you can imagine, that's probably like 40, 50 kilograms of gold, right? Quite a large sum of money. So he brought it, it was then put into the original pile, and then it got accepted. In our times, we do a good deed and we don't find out if it was accepted or not accepted. Okay? Now, what is the benefit of that? Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it a sign for the people before us, and for us, Allah has made it a principle that if we do something based on good niyyah, that Allah will accept it on that. I was doing Hajj, I did Hajj in 1435, I think that was 2015. Sheikh Mu'tasim was with us from Punjab. And you know, as we were doing the Hajj, we went to Arafat, we came back to Mina, and he said a very interesting statement, and it stuck with me since then. He said that when a person does Hajj, after that, he has to then have the mentality that his Hajj was accepted. Okay? He shouldn't have the mentality that, oh, this or that or this or that. He should have the mentality that the Hajj was accepted, and now he has to safeguard that amal, right? So the statement of Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu, who said that, I am fearful that if one person goes to Jahannam, that it might be me. But I also had the umeed that even if one of my sujood was accepted, that I would go to Jannah because of that one sujood. Because of the quality of any of my sujood that I do, that I would go to Jannah because of that. So a person both has this feeling that his a'mal are being accepted, at the same time he's also fearful that he may get punished for any sin that he has done. The Mufassirun have ijma' that actually we'll come very soon to that. قَالَ لَأَقْتُلَنَّكَ. The one that did not have his thing accepted, he said, I will kill you. Now, the reason that he wants to kill his brother is because of hasad. In Surah Al-Falaq, we did hasad in a lot of detail. You were there at the time. The key thing that I want you to understand about hasad is that hasad is that you have something. You have an iPhone, what number are we up to? 15 or 16? 14, still 14. Okay. You have an iPhone 14 and I have an iPhone 9 or something, and I say, I want his iPhone 14. Why did he get it? I should have it. You mean, I want the thing that he has. Okay? This is hasad. There's another word, so the word is translated as jealousy. There's a word called envy in English, that he has something, I also want that thing. Okay? He has an iPhone 14, I only have a 9, I want also a 14. And then there is tamanni, that I desire to have something. I don't care what you have or what he has. I desire to have something. It's not because of what someone else has. All right? Tamanni is jaiz, envy is jaiz, but is from the poor akhlaq. And then hasad leads someone to killing his brother. Okay? The asl of hasad is that you are not happy with how Allah has distributed His blessings. That's the basis for it. Why did he get something? I deserved it. Whereas in fact, Allah gives min haythu yasha. He gives from how He wills, from His hikmah. not from your limited knowledge. Okay? So when a person has hasad, he has to go back and see that he has a problem with his aqeedah, with his beliefs about Allah. He has to fix that. So some of the Mufassirun discuss that Qabil may have been a kafir. Okay? And others discuss that no, he was not a kafir, he was a believer, but that hasad drove him to kill. And both Mufassirun have very strong, valid points in each of their respective camps. قال إنما يتقبل الله من المتقين. Habil said that Allah accepts from the muttaqeen. Taqwa, I gave you, has 6 components to it, right? However, Ibn Atiyah mentions that all the Mufassirun have ijma' here that the muttaqeen means he did not have shirk in their niyyah. That's what it means in this place here. Okay? That when Habil presented his qurban to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he did not have any shirk. His niyyah was khalis. So Allah accepted it. Qabil, on the other hand, he had a problem with his niyyah, so his thing was not accepted. He had 2 problems. His qurban itself was inferior, in the sense that he was a farmer, but he could have given the best of his vegetables, right? But he chose the worst of his wheat. So he could have given the best, he didn't. And the second was that his niyyah did not have ikhlas in it. You're all looking very tired. You want to stop here? Keep going? Okay. لَإِن بَسَطْتَ إِلَيَّ يَدَكَ لِتَقْتُلَنِي. If you move forward with your hand to kill me, مَا أَنَا بِبَاسِطٍ يَدَيَّ, I will not move forward to kill you. إِنِّي أَخَافُ اللَّهَ رَبَّ الْعَالَمِينَ. This is complex, okay? Because the question will come naturally, is that why did Habil not fight Qabil? And if we look throughout the Quran, Allah over and over again says, go and fight the people who are fighting you. وَقَاتِلُوا الَّذِينَ يُقَاتِلُونَكُمْ. Right? And he mentions that, why do you not fight the people who are, oppressing the people? 2 logical things. They are fighting you, or they are oppressing others. Go and fight them. Right? There's a very logical argument. So why does Allah present Habil in this fashion, that he did not want to fight? And he said that I'm not even going to move my hand forward. The hadith we read actually a week or 2 ago, our Imam read that 2 people fight and both of them are in the hellfire. And the Sahaba were like, one guy killed the other, why are both of them in the hellfire? Okay, it should be that the one that died, he should go to Jannah, and the one that killed him, he should go to Jahannam. That was their understanding. And the Prophet ﷺ said that the one who killed, he goes into Jahannam because he killed. And the other one wanted to kill his brother. So he goes into Jahannam because of his niyyah. He could not complete it because he was weaker. But he also wanted to he wanted to kill him as well. So Habil did not want to put his hand forward because he did not want even a semblance of wanting to kill his brother. He thought that if I fight, there may become an issue with my niyyah as I am fighting back, and I become just like my brother who is trying to kill me. So he said that I am accepting that you kill me, and because of my sabr and the fact that you kill me, I will go into Jannah directly. It is said that the first person to act on this ayah is Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu, that when the people came to kill him, he did not fight. All right? And he was killed as he was holding the Quran, and the blood of Uthman radiallahu anhu is on the copy of Uthman. Right? Remember that Uthman made 6 copies and he kept a 7th one for himself. His blood is on that seventh copy. But by and large, it is wajib that if someone comes to fight you, that you fight them back as self-defense. Okay? And we will come into the next page, inshallah, where situations are where people have to be killed. Right? So this is something that Habil did. It is not something that when you read this, you decide, okay, we should be like the Christians and we don't do any self-defense. Because what do the Christians say? That if you hit me on my cheek, I will show you the other cheek so that you can hit that one too. Right? Whereas our deen is no. Someone fights you, you fight them back. Inni akhafu Allah Rabb al-Alameen. Verily I fear Allah, who is the master and the owner of the Alameen. Inni uridu an tabu'a bi ithmi. Tabu'a is to return. I desire. Tabu'a, what kind of example can I give you? فَبَاءُوا بِغَضَبٍ عَلَى غَضَبٍ. In Baqarah, you remember this, right? That they returned with anger upon anger. So this is the same word, ba'u.
Sorry, on the
Previous ayah. Mm-hmm.
Like when Habil didn't fight back.
Yes.
Would that be like the meaning that his brother wasn't kafir actually, and he was Muslim?
Both sides are argued. So he killed him because of hasad. Okay? And you can see from the story that we have narrated, it is a problem after problem. He did not accept the marriage that was written for him. Okay? He then did not accept that his Qurban did not get accepted. He had a bad niyyah. He presented something bad. He's doing mistake after mistake after mistake. And then he has hasad that his thing is not accepted. Then he goes and kills him. So you can see that something small led to something bigger and bigger and bigger, right? Some of the Mufassirun have mentioned that after he killed his brother, the shaitan said that you have done something so bad, the only way that you will be saved is by worshipping the fire. The Mufassirun have said this. Wallahu a'lam bisawab, what it is true or not it is true. We will find out when we go to Jannah, inshallah. That so it is said that he worshipped the fire and became from the kuffar. However, others have said that none of the sons of Adam became kafir, and it was many generations after the first person became a kafir. And that's why Nuh alayhi salam was sent, because those people became kuffar. Wallahu a'lam bisawab. Let's do this ayah and then we'll stop, inshallah. Inni uridu an tabu'a bi ithmi wa ithmika. This ayah is actually a little bit difficult to understand, and I'll summarize it so that you can understand it. Bi ithmi does not actually mean the ithm of Habil. Okay? It appears from the Arabic that he is meaning my sin. Okay? However, the Mufassirun say the meaning actually is my killing. Okay? So that when Qabil kills Habil, that is the ithm. That's what he means by ithmi. Wa ithmika, which is your sins that you did before killing me, which are many. We already mentioned 4 of them. The hasad, the poor qurban, his shirk in his niyyah, and his not accepting of the marriage that was due for him. So Habil is saying, I desire that you return with all of this. Okay? Now the Mufassirun discuss that, is Habil desiring something bad for his brother? Okay? And the answer from a very simplistic point of view is that Habil wants to be innocent of everything. And in one form, he is saying to Qabil, if you do this, you're going to return with all this mountain of sin on top of you. It's as if it's a last warning to him. Right? They don't do this. Okay? And then he says that if you do desire this, that you want to kill me, I don't desire to fight you back, but because you are killing me, I desire that you are punished for that. Do you think that is fair? The answer is that is very logical and fair. That's what human intellect would say is fair. فَتَكُونَ مِنْ أَصْحَابِ النَّارِ, so that you become from أَصْحَابِ النَّارِ. If he is a kafir, Then ashab nar, suhba means something that is a companion, something that is something very close to someone, such that it becomes connected to that. So the Sahaba are connected to the Prophet, that's why they're called Sahaba, right? Ashab nar, he is so closely connected to the fire, means he spends such a long time there. So either this means he's a kafir and he's there for a very long time, or the meaning is that he was a believer, but because he killed him and he's the first person to do the killing, there's a hadith that is narrated by the Prophet ﷺ, that anyone who kills anyone, then a component of that sin goes to the son of Adam, who was the first person to kill. Right? So he started a sin so that everyone who does it, he also carries his sin because he is copying him. Okay? And this is why a person never does a sin in the open. Because when other people see him and copy him because of what he did, he gets a copy of what they are doing too. Okay? Similarly, when you do a good deeds, you don't just do it all in hiding. Sirran wa alaniya. What's the purpose of the alaniya? That people copy you, so that you also get a copy of the good deed. Alright? So the question then will be that shaitan is doing a lot of bad deeds, right? So whenever someone follows shaitan, shaitan also gets a copy of their sin. Adam alayhi salam disobeyed Allah. Right? So why doesn't he get a copy of the sins? He made tawbah. Okay, that's one reason. The second reason, he did it in the training ground. Okay, not in direct taklif, not in the dunya. Not in the dunya where you are being tested. He did it in the training ground, like practice arena. Right? So in that place, he disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And A'ammat al-Mufassirin said that Adam salam did not disobey Allah, he forgot. He forgot the instruction. That's what the majority of the Mufassirun say. So that whenever sin happens, a copy does not go to Adam alayhi salam because he made tawbah. وَذَلِكَ جَزَاءُ الظَّالِمِينَ. And Allah says, this is the reward, the recompense of those who do dhulm. We'll stop here, inshallah, ayah number 29. We'll start with ayah number 30 next week, inshallah. Interesting ayat coming in terms of how they relate to our times. Any questions? Let's stop it.